Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the new and improved Best and Worst of Walt Disney World. Coming to you from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by my good friends, Lindsay Knoll.
Hi.
Senior editor for The Diz, Ms. Jackie Gailey.
Hi, everybody.
From BigFatPanda.com, the Big Fat Panda himself, John Saccheri. And, of course, Ben Malin, who's been our chef extraordinaire, doing some great videos on cooking in DVC Villas for us lately.
Thank you.
And, of course, one of the other people I'm really grateful for is Mr. Craig Williams.
Thank you, and ahoy hoy.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have decided that we wanted to reboot the series that we used to do, the Best and Worst of Walt Disney World. Now, normally, those would be very focused on certain topics. This time, we're not going to do that, at least for this episode. We will do that when we resume filming in January, because we're going on hiatus after this show. But what I wanted to do today was just kind of open it up a little bit and talk about, what do you think the best thing right now, or one of the best things, are in Walt Disney World? We talk a lot about what's not good, but let's talk about what is good. And you're making eye contact with me, so I'm starting with you, Lindsay.
I have something so nerdy, though.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good.
It is.
Perfect.
I saw, and may or may not have purchased, I don't know if the kids are watching, a toy monorail system. And we saw it, and I like have all these memories. And somebody confirmed it when we were looking at it. They were like, "Man, I used to have one of these. I had the Polynesian, I had the Contemporary, and so I'm like, they had brought it back." And you know, when you click it and it says "Por favor, mantengan CL," you know, it goes on the Spanish thing. I just love the monorail and everything about it. And I don't know. I just think the merch right now is really good.
Merch?
I think it's really cool. We have we bought coins that had like the 50 on it. My son is 5, and so he's learning math and he's learning numbers. And the 50. We bought him a sweatshirt with it, and he's going to remember that. Mm-hmm. And I think it's so cool. Like maybe one day he'll get to the 100th, right? And he'll be, I remember the 50, and I just think it's so cool.
Yeah, and I agree with you on the merch. Boy, they've upped their game on merch. Let's just be honest.
They did.
They've upped their game on merch.
There's a castle too.
And I have a Disney Visa credit card to prove it.
Oh, boy. Yeah, it's a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
And even shopdisneyparks.com.
Yes.
That's a dangerous site.
Don't go
Yeah,
there.
it is.
Because
To
then it
go
comes
on.
up on your Facebook and everything when you're just hanging out. Ads for it.
Yeah, but the boxes keep appearing magically at my door. I don't understand, but I agree with you. I think merchandise is definitely something Disney World is doing right now.
Yeah, I even saw a cookbook. Not just current recipes, but throughout the past 50 years.
Yeah.
Recipes they don't have anymore. I thought, how cool is that? You know? I'd already spent too much, so I didn't buy it, but maybe next time.
I'm going to be buying it soon.
All right.
I want it. It's cool.
All right, Jackie, what about you?
So one of my favorite things right now, I have a few, but the first one I want to mention is the way they're doing character meet and greets right now. So I love the different ways that the characters are letting you pose for selfies. I love that because years ago, it seemed awkward when you asked them if you could do a selfie. Some of them were weird because they weren't used to it. You know, they're used to you hand over your autograph book, the character signs it, and then you stand next to them and you take your picture. But I think that having the character a little bit further away gives a lot of opportunities to change up your photos because, you know, those of us that have kids, we have all these same pictures of our kids with their favorite characters. And, you know, basically they're standing next to the character. They've got their autograph and their book and their pen and, you know, because the character had just signed it. And you're kind of stumbling through everything when you're trying to like hold your stuff in a way that it doesn't show in the picture. And now you can do all kinds of stuff. You can, you know, act like you're hugging the character from afar, or just all of the different opportunities. Some of these kids are just so creative with their TikToks and their Instagram and everything that they do now. And so I just hope, I miss hugs. I'm a huggy person. I love hugs. I miss the hugs, but at the same time, I like the new way of doing pictures. I think it's really fun. So I hope they keep doing it like that. That's one of my very favorite things right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. What about you, John?
Genie Plus, I'm kidding. The castle right now, the look of the castle, I love it. And I walk into the park and who's the lady that says if you don't like something, throw it out if it doesn't give you joy?
Yep.
The castle gives me joy. The way it looks, the little twirly things on the top, I like the castle. That's one of my favorite things right now.
I love that too.
I do have favorite
too.
restaurants. Okay,
I was
good.
scared
I'm not the,
when they were redoing it. I was terrified because I think
too.
one time they made it like this
Birthday cake.
terrible pink.
25th
was it?
anniversary. I was there.
Yeah.
I was there too.
And so I
It
was
looked like
scared.
we had been hosed down in Pepto-Bismol.
Yes. Yes.
And
And now it does. It looks much better. It looks the way that it should.
They learned a lesson from that.
I hope
They realized.
They did.
I remember hearing somebody say this, an executive say this, that they realized after that castle doesn't belong to them.
Belongs to the people.
It belongs to us.
Yeah.
And that they better pay attention.
It was
Now if they could just get that mentality for everything.
Yeah.
It was the color of this mic that goes.
Yes.
Well, no, I don't.
I remember.
I don't think they did learn their lesson because one of the things that you can pay for with Genie Plus is those augmented reality things, and one of them is having your picture. Oh wait, maybe it's not paid for, but you can have your picture taken and like pretend you're in front of the birthday cake castle.
Yeah, there's
There
a
are people who
very
liked it.
strange nostalgic part of it now where but that's what happens
Right.
with all fandoms is that something that the majority of people thought was terrible or awful now all of a sudden it's oh no, it was amazing. Don't you remember how
Now
great
that
it
I
was?
know about that, I think I might do that just to be funny.
Yeah.
But in a sarcastic way, not in a serious way.
Get it? I don't know. Make a matching Spirit jersey.
Oh yeah, no, it's only amount of time before they just decide to go all in on castle birthday cake merch just because why not? Why not? Someone will buy it. There are people out there who will buy everything that Disney sells.
Sure.
So
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. What about you, Ben?
Well, right now it's the Christmas music playing everywhere. Not just being Christmas music, but everyone's different versions of it. I'm at my house a lot these days, of course, because I'm baking more from home, and so I've got the Christmas music that plays in Animal Kingdom Lodge, completely different. That's its own thing, and you are hearing very culturally different music, and I've got that going, right? And then the stuff that plays at the Grand Floridian, a lot more classical and a lot warmer music, but again, you won't quite hear it. It's not the super bright stuff you hear in the Magic Kingdom, but I love the stuff you hear in the Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. The way that they have like that echo effect, it just seems so big. It makes it makes the space feel so much bigger than it already is. It really, really transports you.
That's true.
To where you already are.
think about
But
that.
when you're listening to it at home, these are things that you
Yes.
notice because you're at home now, and that effect is just there.
I love that.
It's like the sound version of the smells they pipe in. I think it's
Visiting
really,
lobbies
really.
Yeah.
for Christmas music sounds like a nice thing to do.
It does.
Let's go do a lobby crawl of Christmas music.
Right?
Oh gosh.
And and the places where it is very different, and you actually get a chance to hear some Christmas music that you wouldn't normally hear, some holiday music that you wouldn't normally hear. Christmas is different at my house now, and I love it. I wouldn't trade it. Like, I love that I've gotten this experience accidentally because of these things I'm doing now. And I'm a music person, so it just, levels that I didn't realize. And then I was in Animal Kingdom Lodge recently, and I hear the music, and I'm like, this is what plays at home. It's like a different thing now. That's one of my things.
All right. Well, for me, I think this has always been a favorite, but I think it's even more pronounced now. And I'm not talking about quick service. I'm talking about table service. The quality and variety of options that you have is one of table service restaurants at Walt Disney World. You're hard pressed to find another place in the world with that many options, and so vastly different, yet so much wonderful. Okay, there is so much wonderful. This is at Disney Springs. Let alone, you look at Hollywood Brown Derby at Hollywood Studios. You look at, I don't know, Chefs de France in Epcot. Ben and I share an affinity for that restaurant.
Steakhouse 71.
Steakhouse 71 over at the Contemporary. Absolutely phenomenal. Kona Cafe, Grand Floridian Cafe, Citrico's. I'm just going around the monorail loop here. Whispering Canyon. Whispering Canyons may in fact just be the most underrated restaurant at Walt Disney World.
Really?
I don't think it gets anything close
It was good.
to the love that it deserves. I've been there now 4 times since the beginning of October, and I'm going back a 5th in a few weeks. Consistently good.
Yeah.
And the service is phenomenal. They've got a cute shtick they do with the guests. It really is. It really is phenomenal. I just don't think it gets. I don't hear it talked about as much or as favorably as a lot of other places, and I don't think it gets the love it deserves. So, I mean, it is easy to focus on the negative. It is easy, and we're going to do that in just a few moments. But that's not to say the negative is not legitimate. It is legitimate, but it's not the whole story either. One of my other favorite things at Walt Disney World is Disney Vacation Club. We're going to do a DVC show coming up next after this one, which I strongly recommend you stay around and watch, especially if you have questions about DVC. But as a DVC member, I live here. I'm a half hour from the parks. And I'm buying DVC points like they're going out of style. Because I use them. I use them for my work. I use them for myself. I use them for my friends and family when they come into town. Any excuse to be at a DVC resort I'm going to take. Now, do I have issues with DVC management? Sure I do. But the product is phenomenal. And it is truly one of my favorite things. You talk about things that bring you joy. DVC brings me joy. It really does. Having a great meal in a place I love so much, that brings me joy.
Yeah. I mean, every company, even the best of companies, every company has, there's always something.
Disney,
right?
We're dealing with some things where it's not an always something scenario. It's like, oh dear God, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is more the situation. Craig, what about you? What's your favorite thing at Walt Disney World right now?
I kind of had to piggyback off of what Ben said, not necessarily with just the music, but Disney is still evolving, and we're almost to the point where we can actually feel like we're saying everything that was closed at one point in time has finally reopened. It's almost there, and I feel like Christmas this season has finally felt like there are moments where I feel like I am transported back to pre-pandemic with how it's just all playing out. Yeah, some things are different, and it is still very weird, like constantly going into restaurants now and using like QR codes, and like there's still these old differences or new differences that don't fit in with it, but it's something about Christmas this year. It's clicking in the right way. It's
me
putting
too.
me in a good mood.
That's a good word, clicking.
I've been at Walt Disney World and Universal more this holiday season than I have in years. I mean, I was in the parks pretty much the last 5 days straight, and the week before that it was the same, and I can't get enough of it right now.
You'd think he didn't have a job. Oh, wait, that is his job.
So jealous.
Yeah. He called me on. You called me on Saturday and was talking to me. I'm like, okay, I'm on my way to Animal Kingdom for work or for play. I'll try not to work. Try not to.
Were you successful?
Yeah, a little bit. I took some photos and it's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Well, all right. So let's transition over to the worst of Walt Disney World. And I have a feeling that most of our comments here are going to be very similar. That we're going to find some of the same things that we think are the worst things at Walt Disney World right now. You're making eye contact.
Yeah,
now.
I don't think anybody's going to have my thing. I don't think.
Okay,
Same.
maybe
Same.
not.
It irks me. Do you want me to tell you? The Winnie the Pooh ride irks my soul because it could be so good. Yes. Stop, Lindsay. It's cardboard. Don't
You're
love it
right.
because I will get you to not
No,
love
no,
it.
you're correct. It's very
compared,
specific.
especially compared to Tokyo.
Don't go to YouTube. Watch a video on Tokyo's.
We
and you'll
have one
go-
of our own. Watch mine.
And you'll
Right,
go,
'cause we have that up.
Why can't we have nice things here? Why do they do this to us?
Why can't we have
I
nice
had
things?
no idea of this.
What, that I felt this way or that it's
The
No,
not?
ride
that it was even an issue.
The ride vehicle, the ride system in Tokyo for Winnie the Pooh.
Really?
Look, I'm not like a huge Winnie the Pooh fan. Sean is, and so like Sean and I were there together, and he wanted to go back on it like multiple times. I couldn't wait to get back on that ride.
Really?
I couldn't wait. When I think
You'll
about
see.
when I
You'll
think
see.
when I think right now about going back to Tokyo Disneyland, the first thing in my head is getting back on that
What?
Winnie the Pooh
I'm
ride.
like ready to
Wow.
fall out
It
of my chair.
Me
was
too.
so cool.
Good to know.
Wow.
They have full animatronics, right? We have pieces of cardboard that pop up. And pieces of cardboard that fall sometimes. Like,
What in the
What?
world?
I don't know. And because it was the space that Mr. Toad occupied,
Yeah.
you just have to up it. Give us a good Pooh ride. Pooh deserves it.
He does deserve it.
Yes.
Okay,
Most definitely.
I mean, they're
definitely throwing down the gauntlet with that one.
Yeah, and I always go on it thinking
It's been thrown.
it's got to be the last time I went on it. And I still come off of it like it's done already. It's terrible.
Oh, I am so riding Winnie the Pooh with you.
It's not the only one though, is it? Like, I'm pretty sure near the end of Dinosaur, there's just an entire section that's just black wall, and you like, it's the part where it's supposed to be all dark and everything, but if you can actually see it, it's like wall and curtains.
I like that.
And it's just, I don't know.
what-
Some of these.
What's Ben? What's the worst thing at Walt Disney World for you right now?
I mean, I think it has to be. It's not just in the spirit of Genie Plus, but just in the general sense of how unnecessary so many things are that are happening. I mean, I think you mentioned it once recently about how you think about going to the park and you start getting filled with a bit of anxiety. Like when it is supposed to be a place like right now during Christmas where it is, transporting you somewhere else. There's just I talked to so many people in the parks, and there's just so many steps. There's so many things to get through, and so many of those things, then you do get through them, and it still doesn't work. And I think that it's hard, and it's hard on cast members too. Because if I was going to say one other best thing right now, it would be cast member interaction, because we're so on the go, especially since everything happened. We're wanting to get to our next thing more quickly, and when you can actually slow down enough to talk to a cast member, like, they're so appreciative of it, and you can get a really valuable interaction. You'll remember. It's just a conversation with the person, but when they have to stand in front of it, and it's just so stressful. I think someone else said it's just added stress that I don't want to have. Just thinking about what I'm going to have to do. Particularly, I'm not thinking about Genie Plus right now when I want to enjoy the holidays. I'm thinking about Genie Plus next summer when I really want to go to the park, and then it's 100 degrees, and then I mean, thank goodness the trams will be back, because when you're walking on that blacktop to the Magic Kingdom and you're already miserable because you get that feeling when you get off the blacktop and you step onto the sidewalk, then you're like, oh, it just cooled off 20 degrees. I think that's going to stack up.
We were talking earlier that your segment on the Today Show, I think, had a lot to do with trams coming back. That the segment. Well, okay, so the Today Show.
Yeah.
The Today Show.
Yeah. I mean, and I didn't know that it was going to be syndicated either, right?
And it was syndicated everywhere.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Jackie was invited to do a segment on the Today Show about the trams, about the fact that they hadn't come back yet. And this, of course, Today Show's NBC. It's a rival to ABC. Mm-hmm. And this was not a positive piece at all. Mm-hmm. And it was really embarrassing. It should have been really embarrassing for Disney.
Yeah.
And I do believe that segment, which included Jackie, is part of the reason why trams are coming back. And that, one of the worst things for me at Walt Disney World is we live in an age where Disney has to be shamed publicly into doing the right thing.
Yeah, I don't like that.
And even then, shaming them publicly doesn't always work. Doesn't always work.
Well, and the thing, so the piece was they talked about a word. The word was skimpflation, and so it talked about companies that are taking things away that you're used to getting included with the price of admission or of a service or whatever the case may be. And so the fact that Walt Disney World was brought up in a piece like that was a big eye-opener for the powers that be at Disney to say, what are we doing being part of this kind of a piece? And I just, it's not right when it's part of what we're used to.
But I also think that the attitude of Disney executives, of Disney management, is not, what are we doing that we're a part of a piece like this? Their attitude is, we don't give a I'm sorry.
Well,
Hey,
it was going to happen.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's gonna happen.
It was going to happen.
You can say it on cable TV, so.
It was one of my hour 3. It's only going to get worse. Tune in around 8.
That'll be
around
off
8.
the rails. the After Dark version.
Diz Unhinged, right?
Diz Unhinged. Oh, I like that.
Diz Unhinged. I came up with that. Diz Unhinged.
You did. Yeah.
But, that's the worst thing at Walt Disney World for me right now. They don't care about us anymore. They don't care about fans anymore. They know we're going to bitch, and they know that we're going to do it as we're pulling our wallets out. And now they have just dropped any pretense of we care about the fans. So we can sit and moan and groan and gripe all day long until it hits them in the pocketbook. It's not going to change. Until it hits them in the pocketbook, it's not going to change. And it will hit them in the pocketbook.
It absolutely will.
This is something that you're going to see 3, 4, 5 years from now, when all of a sudden people have spent $1 gazillion. The fans have woken up and realized, oh, wait a second, there's another theme park up the road.
Was just going to say it.
Which is starting to get a lot of traction, Universal. And if you don't think my strategy for next year, in terms of my site, our shows, doesn't include a lot more focus on Universal, you're crazy. Because that's where things are starting to move.
Well, and I was just going to say it like the locals experience. Well, really, the Disney fandom experience is that you're much deeper into this. You're paying a lot more attention. But when you are actually living here and you see this stuff day to day, or if you're in, I mean, of course, like I said, I watch these shows. I'm a long-term viewer of this show before becoming a part of it. So even if you're out of state and you're paying attention to everything, the weirdest thing right now is these decisions that Disney continues to make. And then Universal's just like, hey, like I was telling John we were filming our next round of cooking shows, and we're taking some time while stuff's cooking, and I'm like, Universal executives right now must be like, call off the meeting. We don't need to do anything. They're doing it for us.
Right, exactly.
Like they're doing it for us. They're making it so easy.
It reminded me of, do you remember when Xbox and Sony had the fight about the games, where Xbox, you had to rent games. If you wanted to lend them to a friend, you had to pay. And then Sony came out with a video, or I don't know if it was vice versa, and said, you know how you share games with us? Here. And that's what's going on now, where we have
Universal. The dynamic with Universal changed as soon as they got a rich sugar daddy in Comcast. Universal had been passed around as a mere corporate asset for a long time until Comcast bought NBC Universal. They've taken a real interest in those parks. They have pumped a lot of money into them, and there's no sign of them pulling back.
When did that happen?
Oh, when did Comcast take over, Craig?
Ish.
I was still working there, so that would have been 2011,
Okay.
right around that time period.
So not
And-
like the past few years.
And keep in mind that when a new theme park opens, the opportunity is there for a shift in market share. We saw it when Universal felt it acutely when Animal Kingdom opened. That extra day people were spending leaving Disney property to go to Universal because they have Expedition Everest. There's the thrill ride. They have Dinosaur, thrill-ish ride. So people are like, oh, you know what? We'll just stay on Disney property. We're already here. I'm talking to a lot of DVC members, speaking of DVC, who are saying, yeah, we're going to use our DVC, but we're going to go to Universal. DVC, you're not paying for the room every night, in the traditional sense. So let's rent a car. Let's rent a car and go up to Universal. Hearing that more and more and more, and I encourage it. Dreams Unlimited Travel can help. I didn't do a plug. So I'll do the plug now. This, along with all the content we do, brought to you by DreamsUnlimitedTravel.com. Experts at helping you plan the perfect Universal vacation. If you like our content, that's how I pay for it. I'm one of the owners. That's why I say that's how I pay for it. And that, folks, is going to do it for this week's episode of the Best and Worst of Walt Disney World. We hope you enjoyed it. And we will resume these episodes starting the beginning of the year. So stay tuned and look forward to that. Have a great week, everybody.